Hello, everyone, and welcome to Intel on AI. We are so excited to have you here with us today. I am your co-host, Ryan Carson.
And I'm your other co-host, Tony Monkolsmy.
We are really excited to have Dr. Wei Li with us from Intel. Great to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
Hey, great. I'm so excited to be here, Ryan and Tony, and it's always interesting to talk to you guys.
Very excited to hear your thoughts on the wider AI landscape. Just a little bit of background for all of you listening on Dr. Wei Li. He is a VP and GM of AI software at Intel, leading a top-tier team enhancing AI performance like large language models and developer efficiency to enable an AI everywhere future. He also drives engagements with industry and ecosystem leaders, including those from PyTorch Meta, TensorFlow Google, DeepSpeed Microsoft, Hugging Face, to various Gen AI startups. With a PhD on supercomputing from Cornell University, he's a renowned speaker at universities such as Harvard and Stanford, and events including the Fortune and AI Summits. A lifelong champion of open source, Wei serves on the boards of PyTorch Foundation and Linux Foundation AI and Data. It is awesome to have you here with your experience. So I want to kick it off and ask you about Intel's strategy of bringing AI everywhere. Why is this the most important thing to do right now, and how are we looking at that?
Yeah, so I'm glad Intel is really championing the notion of AI everywhere. And if you look at all these conferences, our CEO is there really talking about AI everywhere. And we just had a Intel Vision conference about a week or two ago, and it was fascinating to see all kinds of progress Intel's making over here. Now, when we think about, and so I run the software team, working on AI, particularly on the engineering side. When I think about supporting the vision of AI everywhere, and what I find is the ecosystem is super important, and luckily AI has a pretty much open, for the most part, open software ecosystem. And I think both ecosystem and open ecosystem both are very important. And even for companies like us, Intel, we are not small, right? We're not a small company. We cannot do everything by ourselves either. So we really need to work with many fellow AI leaders in the industry, in the ecosystem, to make the vision of AI everywhere happen. And I was very lucky, as part of my job, got a chance to work with many interesting leaders from various different companies here, all the way from Meta. We work on PyTorch. We work with Meta very closely, with Google as well on TensorFlow and JAX, and with other companies like Microsoft. I actually met with Microsoft DeepSpeed team a couple of weeks ago. So these are all big companies, and we also interact with many smaller but very exciting companies also, like people like OpenAI. We collaborate with them on Triton, and it's a new language they are defining to write custom kernels more easily. And we work with people like company like Hugging Face. It's Hugging Face is the center of the large language model revolution here, and we actually started working with them more than 3 years ago when they were relatively smaller, right? And working on the NLP at that time was more of a niche market. But today, if you think about large language model, they are really the center. So I actually was talking to the head of products from Hugging Face yesterday, and we exchanged some notes and all that. It was fascinating to see that. And then we also work with other organizations. For example, ML Commons, and that's an organization where Intel actually helped create it several years ago when the deep learning was starting, and people wanted to find a way to do performance benchmarking together. And now they are doing more than performance benchmarking. They want to look at the interesting topic of AI safety. And as you know, particularly within Gen AI, the AI safety is a concern for a lot of people here, right? So as a community, ML Commons together with Google, Stanford, Intel, and many others, we created this work group. So Intel was pretty good. We were lucky to be one of these founding members there as well. So really, it takes a village to get AI moving here. And the other thing I just want to emphasize is the open part of it is pretty important. And particularly when you look at Gen AI, people have more concern if you have a black box, so you don't even know what's going on there, right? And so being open, you get transparency. You get to know the model, you get to know the model architecture and all these things. And then being open source, you got a lot of innovation, and that's the advantage of the open source community. And then the other, you can get to scale because it does take a huge community to do these things, and we have people basically from everywhere contributing to various different open source projects here. So we can get AI everywhere by leveraging the open software ecosystem here.
Yeah, and the openness is really amazing, which is really important. But as a business, like if I'm thinking about using AI, open is really good because I'm able to see what I'm getting. But it also can be challenging because, as you mentioned, there's a lot of different groups and there's a lot of different pieces of technology that have to work together, and they're not all coming from one place, like maybe it was true in the past. So you're in a really unique position because you're on the board of the PyTorch Foundation. You're also on the board of the Linux Foundation's AI and Data. So you have probably better insight than most people into what these kind of governing bodies, for lack of a better word, maybe that's not the right word, but these core components, where they're going to have to go, what are they thinking about? So if I'm a business, what direction are these two groups looking at that are going to be really key for me as a business going forward?
Yeah, so that's a very interesting question because when I talk to business leaders, at the end of the day, the one question is, what is the value of AI, right? I'm going to invest a lot in AI. What return do I get out of AI here? And it is pretty promising today. There's a lot of opportunities here, but still a lot of challenges here, right? So there's how you need to figure out how you want to do these things. I mean, do you want to buy? You want to build yourself? And if you want to build yourself, what skill sets does your team need to have in order to do these things? And what kind of infrastructure we're providing? If you buy, what kind of things you want to buy? Because today when I was talking to somebody just a few days ago, it's actually AI is different from other software as services. For other software, you just buy something, you just get to use it. But for AI, there's something unique here. You actually want to do something with it as well. The reason I'll give you one example here. Even you get models, get applications from somewhere, you have something unique to you, which is your own data. Right? So you want to somehow integrate your own data to whatever you're buying and make sure they're providing something unique for you. And that's the beauty of AI. You can actually, given the current technologies, you can actually do some customization, and at the same time, you can have your data privacy as well. So there's many interesting issues coming out of from both business implications as well as technology implications here. So I was lucky to be on these two boards here, and so let me just explain a little bit about what these two organizations do. So on the PyTorch side, PyTorch is very focused, right? It is a foundation for PyTorch only, and it was good. It was great for Meta to not only start PyTorch, but also donate PyTorch to Linux Foundation. So now has become a truly a community run project over there. So quite a few of us, about a dozen or so companies, we are on the board. The big names you can imagine, Amazon, Google, Meta, and all these, right? So it is. Very interesting to see how, as a foundation, we're nurturing the growth of PyTorch to make sure the PyTorch does all the right things here. And as Intel, we actually contribute quite a bit to PyTorch. We are top 3 contributor to PyTorch. We have many maintainers, and we've been working on PyTorch for a long time. And today, PyTorch arguably is probably the number one, I would say, sort of in terms of AI software, most relevant leading software when you're talking about large language models, right? So I was talking to the PyTorch creator, and I said, PyTorch, every large language model is a PyTorch model. So he's been more modest than me. He said, "Oh no, it's not quite true. There are a few of these actually, not quite PyTorch. They're probably Jack's model and all these, right? But for what we run into, really vast majority is the PyTorch model. So you need a foundation. You need a good foundation for having all these models here. Now, having PyTorch alone is necessary, but not sufficient. So that's where I actually championed Intel to join the Linux Foundation Health AI and the Data Foundation as well. I think that's an important organization because they actually they go for breadth. So they nurture like more than 60 projects, right? It's more than just 60 projects, and they have like more than 100,000 contributors to the effort here. They have more than 600 sort of contributing organizations involved at as well. So they have pretty large scale in terms of variety of pieces they do here. And then some of these projects are pretty well known. For example, Onyx. For those of you who follow deep learning closely, Onyx is a big effort in the industry here. So Intel contribute quite a bit of things there as well. For example, we contributed the Intel neural compressor to the Onyx Foundation side, and we also contributed for something called OpenFL for federal learning into the LF AI and foundation, right? So we created multiple projects here. Now, most recently, we actually contributed a new project called OPEA, which stands for Open Platform for enterprise AI, and that's another new platform to make it easy for people to create solutions. So when you think about enterprises, it's as Tony said, it's not enough just to look at many different components because you have too many components here, and it's a wild west today, right? You have so many different things here, and it's hard to pick all these different pieces here. So where do you start? And that's the goal of OPA. You want to create different examples. You can actually, with a problem you have, you can start somewhere. So I think that's in terms of not only looking at the performance side, but also looking at the developer efficiency, usability, ease of use, the time to value, right? How does it? What would take to get to value more quickly? And we need to do both side of things here. And that's what the industry is doing. And it's good to see, between the different foundations, people are pushing in these directions here.
Right. Your comments on OPIA feed right into my next question, which is, it's clear that every company is going to be an AI company moving forward, right? Which is why Intel is so focused on AI everywhere. So as every engineering team, and this is, I think, what you're a specialist at, gets their head around the fact they need ML engineers, they need AI engineers, they need ML ops. They're going to be absorbing and using large open source models. They're going to be fine tuning. They're going to be using RAG on their own data lake. Can you give all of the execs out there who are starting to realize that they need to do this, can you give them somewhat of a playbook for how to begin to roll this out across the organization?
Yeah, so that's very interesting question here. So I'm not sure I have a standard textbook playbook for this here because every organization is going to be different. So I was giving a lot of talks in different places, and when I ran into people, they're pretty unique in the sense. So for example, a big Fortune 500 company, they have their own team. They have a very big, well-defined problem that you try to solve here, and they can actually afford to do a lot of things themselves, right? So in that scenario, they get to choose what level of design you want to have here, and what kind of components you want you want to pick up here. So when we think about a stack like OPA as a stack here, OPA, the way it's designed is it's not a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. OPA is a architecture, right? And within the OPA architecture, you can actually have different components. Some of these components can be open source components you're picking up, and some of these components can be your own components. So I was talking to another fellow board member from LFA Data, AI and Data, and her company has been working on a sort of similar RAG-based approach for a while. So they also have their own proprietary things, right? So when we have these open system, we want to be able to allow people to do a variety of things, depends on their situation is. And so that's one piece of it. And then the other is I run into other people who have they're a small company. They have a lot of data. There's a company I ran into. They're very much an expert on video processing. They have a lot of video here, but they are not machine learning experts, right? They don't, so they don't want to do a lot themselves. So in that scenario, they may want to pick up something at the higher level of the software stack. They want to do as little of coding as possible. And so we do have other companies in the space where they're actually providing sort of a no-code environment as well as a sort of consulting environment, consulting on the side as well. So the different companies, depending on what you want to do here, and you may want to have a different strategy in terms of how to get your value of AI, and it depends on how much you want to do the thing yourself as well.
So recently we've had the release of large language models. It seems like they're coming out every day. So we've got things like Llama 3 has come out recently. Phi 3 has come out recently, and it seems like they're targeting different places. Snowflake released a new Arctic LLM. And all of these things are coming out. I mean, it just literally almost every day. If I'm looking at this and I'm looking at all the different pieces of hardware I have between like an AI PC, a server, a Gaudi 3, should I be concerned about how fast these models are coming out? Or do you think that the ecosystem is in a healthy enough place that things are just going to kind of run and I'm going to be able to choose what I want when I want it?
I think that's a beauty, and that's the beauty of AI today, which is I certainly enjoyed it. It changed so quickly. It's like you talk about every day. It feels like every day is a model coming up, right? And it shows how much progress we're making here. And as part of if you are enterprise, you try to create a solution here. You want to get the best AI performance somehow, right? The AI performance can be defined in there are many aspects to this, right? So, but one part of AI performance is does the model give you the right answers or not, right? Is this faking things up or not, right? So and then the other is does the model run fast enough? You're not going to be hanging somewhere or waiting for answer to come back here, right? And so there are many aspects of this. So if you think about model performance, into the actual model performance, we're seeing huge progress as well. So we actually worked with Meta. We mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, we work with Meta very closely. So they invited us to support their Llama 2 launch sometime last year, and then they did again this year on the Llama 3 launch. So we were able to get a very early, meaning a few days earlier than the official launch on Llama 3. So we got a chance to actually measure Llama 3 on our platforms. And it's pretty interesting. So people think about, when a new thing comes up, how well would it run on our platform. So we actually managed to measure performance on the sort of three main product lines Intel has. All the way from on the data center side, we have the special accelerator called Gaudi. And then we also have the Xeon CPU, which has special acceleration inside already for deep learning. And then all the way to the client side, we have AI PC, which has special AI acceleration, in terms of both integrated GPU as well as discrete GPU and a special accelerator over there as well. So we have a pretty broad set of different kinds of hardware over there. So we measure Llama 3 performance on all three of them, and we are able to deliver pretty good, very good performance actually. When you measure in terms of throughput, latency, and all these things, right? So the good thing is we actually published a blog on the same day, so we aligned with Meta Llama 3 launch on the same day. We publish our performance number there as well. Actually, I think we are one of the very few companies actually publish real performance data. Quite often people just make a visionary claim, but not much of data inside. But we actually have real data behind this, right? So this is you see how things are changing, and then I think a key part of this is there are many moving pieces here, and to all the way you think about models at the top, software in the middle, and the hardware at the bottom, right? If each of these is designed and done well, and then people can get the benefits very easily, right? When a new model comes up, and all of a sudden you run on the software, on the hardware, hey, you can actually get performance, get the benefits out of a new model here, and the new model is much better than the old one. If you look at Meta's blog, they compare Llama 3 with the other existing models here, and the other interesting thing when you think about Llama 3 is when people improve these models, there are roughly two ways of improving these models. One is people keep talking about models getting bigger and bigger, right? We are working with others, looking at like 1 trillion parameter models and all that. But if you look at Llama 3 as an example here, they stay with some of these smaller size. Let's say the Llama 2 had a 7 billion, Llama 3 has a 8 billion version of it, right? And then Llama 3 also has a 70 billion, which also exists for the Llama 2 size 70 billion. But now this time they are looking at something bigger, more than 400 billion, right? But the initial release actually has 7 billion and 70 billion. So these are relatively small in terms of. I think that's important for enterprise because as Ryan said earlier, my original background was supercomputer, right? But not everybody can afford a supercomputer. I mean, if you go to a small company based in somewhere and they have data, they just cannot buy a supercomputer, right? So having smaller models that can do well is actually very important for enterprises. And I'll say the technology Ryan mentioned already, the RAG-based approach, the fine-tuning people do. Like if you are focusing on a particular domain, let's say you're in healthcare, you want to have an AI solution for healthcare, you can potentially use your own data to fine-tune these things, and you can get a very effective AI versus a huge model just with generic data to tune for this, right? And that's the trend in the industry as well. So the Hugging Face leader I talked to yesterday on the Hugging Face side, even within 1 week of Llama 3 release, they already have seen about 1,000 variations of Llama 3. And I was a little bit surprised when I heard about this, right? 1,000 already, right? And people do this fine tuning for a RAG for different reasons. Some of the stuff I mentioned already, which is a particular domain specific tuning you do, and the other is execution performance tuning you do, right? So you take a model, you reduce the data type into something smaller, right? Lower precision data, and then all of a sudden your model runs 2-3x faster than before, right? So on both sides, in terms of model performance as well as execution performance, is a lot of work going on, and if enterprises can leverage the entire ecosystem, they can actually really benefit from all the work people are doing here.
Thank you so much. We've got time for one more quick question. So you spend a lot of time speaking. You interact with a lot of folks in university sphere and outside of Intel. And I'm curious, what are a couple themes that you're seeing around AI and people's opinion about where we're going? We know that AI is going to be everywhere, but I'm curious, when you interact with folks in those environments, what are some themes that you're seeing?
Yeah, the couple of things here. One is I've seen more and more people are aware of AI nowadays, and I've been giving talks for many years already since I started working on AI roughly 8 to 10 years ago, and you see how people react to what we're doing on the AI side, and then more and more people want to do something. So there's a plenty of motivation here. I think there's no doubt AI is here to stay this time around. Not like when I was a graduate student, and people all talk about AI as well, but the real thing didn't really happen. But today, people feel like it is real. Now, how do you get there? Is a different story. So now, because of Gen AI, there are also new challenges coming out there as well. So some of these issues, like AI safety, I already mentioned, right? The privacy issues, security issues. These are things we haven't really touched that much in this conversation here. But AI safety is in people's mind, right? And also efficiency, energy efficiency, sustainability. How big a bill they're going to pay here, and part of this is financial. People don't want to pay a lot of expensive stuff, and part of this is a lot of people are very they care about environment. They don't want to burn a lot of resources simply because every time you have to run a trillion parameter model here, right? So along these lines, people do see a lot of opportunities and they want to jump in here, and then I think the other thing is in terms of skill set. As a infrastructure company like Intel and the community here, we're building AI infrastructure here. We also have opportunity and challenge because more and more people are doing want to leverage AI, but they don't necessarily have the background. They're not AI experts, right? They're not trained in Stanford AI PhD doing this thing here, right? Because they are domain experts on they are it's good with what they do, but they're not they don't necessarily want to become an AI programmer here either. So that's why efforts like OPA and AI as a service, and we want to move up of the software stack. And I think one part of this is the notion of abstraction, right? And I'm really seeing, because more and more people want to interact with, you really need to raise the level of abstraction here, because not many people is going to be low-level programmers here within AI. So these are the things I've seen. I think it's a huge opportunity for all of us here now.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for spending your time. It is very valuable, and we appreciate every minute of us. If folks want to find you online and interact with you, what's the best place for them to go?
I'm reasonably active on LinkedIn. Actually, if people want to find me here, quite often I post things and all that. Yeah, so.
I like reasonably active is good enough. So thank you so much for your time. And Tony, thanks to you as well. And everybody, we'll see you on the next show. Take care.
Thank you, Ryan and Tony.